Hello there everyone, it's Lydia here today, and today I'll be sharing with you how I've created this card. It uses the layered Kaleidoscope stencils from Altenew, both A and B. You don't have to use them together if you don't want to. They are perfectly fine to use separately, but the magic does happen when you do layer these two together, and I will show you how. So first I'm going to start with, again, like I've said, the stencils. So you're going to have A and B. You could use these either way around if you wanted to. It does have directions on the back on how to use A, B to get this look here. You don't have to use it this way around. I will in fact be using the B stencil first. As I want to make sure this is stuck down to my cardstock quite well, I'm using some repositionable spray adhesive. So I've just sprayed that down and it gets really quite sticky and tacky. If you don't want it too much stick, just rub it your hands on it and it will take away some of the stick. I'm going to lay this down on a piece of cardstock. It's quite easy to match up the sides to get it in the perfect position. The inks I'll be using are Altenew crisp inks. I'll be using ruby red, orange cream, warm sunshine, lagoon, parrot, and also some deep iris. Sorry about that, I've got a little bit confused. So I'm going to be using little mini daubers here. I think they're called finger daubers, and I will be using these to create my rainbow pattern. And I'm going to start from the center. As this is kind of like a circular ringy pattern, you will be able to get quite a good circle using the shapes in the stencil as a guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the red first, orange, yellow, so red, ruby red, orange cream, warm sunshine, parrot, lagoon, and then the deep iris. I'm not worrying about getting the blending perfect at this point. I just want to get my circles down so I can find out where I want the colours to be perfectly. I'm going to go from this way first, and then I'm going to go back on myself. The reason I'm going to go back on myself because I do find that it blends better when you go back over it. So when I mean I'm going to go back over it, so I'm going to get all the way to the edge with the colours. So I'm just finishing up with the lagoon, and then I will move on to the deep iris. I will make sure that I've got a lot of the deep iris down where I want it. So I'm going to really make sure that this card is saturated with that beautiful colour. I'm going to keep working away at it until I think that I've got just enough on there, because then I'm going to leave the deep iris where it is. I'm just going to move that to the side. I do have a dauber, I do have a dauber for each of the colours because I don't want them to mix up. So I have a lot of these little ones. And then this is what I mean that I'm going to go back over. I'm going to go back through the colours but the opposite way around. This is going to help the blending really, really much. So it's going to blend in the colours from the other side. And then if you don't feel that you've got the blending just as you want, just take the colour and blend them both together and it will be beautiful. So here we go, and you can see that the colours are so vibrant when you go over them again. Make sure it's really, really saturated. And the colours, when they mix as well together, you're going to get kind of another shade there. So it's going to give your rainbow a really, really beautiful look with lots of different colours included in it. So again, here it is the warm sunshine. You're going to want to be careful with this one because it is the lightest of the colours. So you're going to want to make sure that you don't mix that up too much with the other colours either side. Here is the orange cream. That didn't take too long. The further you get into the centre, the less ink and time it is actually going to take. Tiny bit more of the ruby red, and we have completed this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully remove this. If you wanted to, you could heat it a tiny bit with a heat tool and this will help the adhesive pop off, but I didn't have any trouble at all with this one. So there is the first layer done. That was the layered Kaleidoscope B. So I'm going to move on to the A. I'm going to take my box again. If you are using repositionable spray adhesive like this, you're going to want a box to do it in. Also, you're going to want to do it in a well-ventilated area because it is pretty smelly. So I would recommend opening a window or doing it outside. But the tack on the spray adhesive does stay there for a while, so you don't need to worry. And I'm just going to pop that into position over the other one, and it's really easy to put into position. You wouldn't believe how easy it is because all the other little bits match up and you can see exactly where it's supposed to go. For the second layer, this one, which is the layer Kaleidoscope A, I kind of mixed it up a little bit, I'm using some white pigment ink. So this is the Unicorn from Hero Art, and I'm just dabbing it first into where I want it. I do find that I get a better coverage with the dabbing first and then moving it around with my blending tool rather than trying to just blend it straight on. Sometimes this can make the ink move at the bottom, and that's not the effect that I wanted. I wanted the ink to stay exactly where I wanted, where I had put it on the first layer. So I'm just dabbing the colour on first and then moving it around. I'm doing 2 layers of this white ink because I really do want more of a contrast rather than just the 1 layer. So I find the 2 layers work a lot better. Once I have finished with that, I'm just going to remove this stencil, and that's when you get the stunning effect of the 2 stencils, and it didn't take that much work at all, did it? It was really quite quick and simple, and we've created this amazing background. As I don't want to deter from the background any, I'm just going to use a sentiment strip. So I'm taking a piece of black card, I'm stamping on a sentiment from the Painted Butterflies stamp set using some of the beautiful pure white embossing powder from Altenew again, and I'm going to heat set this so it's nice, shiny and beautifully white. Once I've got it to the stage, I'm just going to cut this bit out. So I'm going to cut it into a strip, and that's what I'm going to be using for my sentiment. I have in fact trimmed my background piece down because I wanted it to pop up from the card a little bit. So I wanted a fine white border around the edges of my card blank. So that's what I've done. So it's now 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I popped that up with some foam tape. I'm then going to attach the sentiment that we've just done, again with some foam tape for a little bit of added interest. And there is the card complete. So you can get different looks with this. I've done this one exactly the same using B first and then A over the top with the white. But this time I've kind of concentrated the colour more to the centre, so there's more of the dark colours around the outside. So this is a really different look, even though it is exactly the same technique. This one I've used A first and then B, but I've gone through the rainbow the different way. So I've started with purple and worked out my way to red at the edges. There is just so much you can do with these stencils. Again, you don't have to use them together like I have. You can in fact use them separately on different projects and they still look beautiful. I really hope you've enjoyed the video today, and thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a really beautiful day. Goodbye!